Welcome, my tarot friends, and thank you for joining me in my series called Under the Magnifying Glass. Today we are looking at the amazing, the one and only, the Herbcrafter tarot. This video is going to be the first video in the series, and in this one I am going to just quickly talk about the Herbcrafters and what it's all about. And then we are going to look at aces, twos, threes, etc. and the other cards from the deck that correspond to those numbers in separate videos. And then we're also going to look at major arcana, but I'm gonna try to do maybe 2, 3, 4. I'll see how long the videos are, cards per video. So thank you for joining me today, and I am so excited you are here because we are looking at one of my favorite, my favorite actually, my favorite deck at the moment or so far in my tarot journey. Now, before we look into the cards and into the guidebook, I would just like to say a few things about this tarot. This is tarot that you need to approach with open mind and open heart and open hands because it's all about heart connection. It's all about giving and receiving and caring and self-care and caring for nature and for our communities. So yeah, if you're ready to jump into it, please join me. So this is my little notebook that I'm using studying this deck, because I am looking into so as you can see, I created a little thingy here, and then I'm looking into each card. So I would firstly write everything that's about aces, and then I would go into the card, journey into the card. Oh, there's another expression for it, but I forgot. Is it path working? I think it's path working. Anyway, and I'll think and feel and see and hear and smell and all that, and write down what the card makes me see, feel, smell, hear, notice, etc. And then I go in the guidebook as well and explore it there. So this is something that I'm going to be using as well in this series, so I don't lose the track of my thoughts, because there's so much you can see in this deck. And this is my tarot pouch for my deck, which I will link the shop down below if you're interested. I really love their... If we just quickly look at the cards, I'm gonna just talk a little bit about the deck and what it's all about. So this deck was written by Letitia Guthrie. I'm not sure how to pronounce her surname, sorry. Guthrie, and art is done by Joanna Powell Colbert. And if I understood correctly, how they did it was they basically created a scene, took a photo, and then Joanna used color prism pencils to basically draw the same thing that was on the photo. So that's why they look super realistic, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. So apart from this deck being absolutely incredibly beautiful, but also this deck makes me personally connected to nature, herbs and plants, even if I am living in a city now. And you know, what surrounds me is mostly concrete and a tree now and there and a bush now and there, but that's it, you know. And this deck really allows me to connect to the natural world and to my memories from my childhood, because I grew up, like I said in another video before, I grew up next to the forest, so I was literally climbing trees, talking to animals and spending my days outside, you know, rolling on the grass and all that. So yes, what I love about this deck is that cards don't simply depict plants and their properties, you know, but they rather acknowledge the partnership and relationship between the people and the botanical world. It tells stories of plants, but also the people, and that's the thing. It's not just like one of them decks, you know, that are just, oh, this is, I don't know, basil and it heals this and this and that's it. No, there's so much more to it. And the plants portrayed in this deck come specifically from Pacific Northwest and the Sonoran Desert. I'm not sure if I pronounced this correctly. So they are not the plants, well, a lot of the plants actually I know and I grew up with, but there are some plants that I didn't grow up with. For example, this one. But it doesn't bother me at all. Like, the description in the guidebook is so well done that it makes me feel like I've known this plant since forever. So that's a really good thing about this deck as well. What this deck do is it follows the Herbcrafter. The Herbcrafter can be you, me, anyone. In this deck it's named as her, so something to be aware of. So it follows Herbcrafter on her journey of crafting and learning about crafting with plants. And she embraces the plant world through observation, botany, gardening, crafting with medicine, and kitchen crafting, and creating fiber arts and baskets and stuff like that. And also magic, which is something that really resonates with me. So even though it doesn't maybe look like it, I still personally feel this deck is very pagan-y and witchy. She learns how plants and people can be of service to each other. This deck is also a deck that helps you connect to the nature and the natural world, like I said before. But not only that, it helps you to connect with your ancestors, which is very interesting, and to the spirit. It's a very spiritual deck, but also very grounding and pagan-y and witchy. You know, it's really incredible, I have to say. It's a very loving deck, a deck that focuses on self-care and also the care for our Mother Earth, you know, and nature and preservation of the nature, and specific plants are endangered, and also gratitude for the nature and what she gives us and how she can heal us. If we look at the structure of this deck, we have, like here you can see the, for example, the Wheel of Fortune. So the Major Arcana cards represent the suit of spirit, and the Herbcrafter is on her journey where she meets the wilderness and learns to cultivate a garden for herself and one for the world. The Major Arcana is represented by altars and mandalas, as you can see here, and often they use this the stones to represent different directions, so northwest, east, south. Northwest, southeast, that would be better, or northeast, southwest. The Minor Arcana in the guidebook, which I'll show shortly, is based on numerology mostly, and so they use different type of plants for different numbers. So for number 1 we have doorway herbs and weeds. Number 2, so 2 off whatever, are plants that attract pollinators and feed certain animals. Number 3 are plants that are easy to grow. Number 4 are plants used for borders and hedges, like here we can see, and the borders often are circular in this deck, which is very interesting. Number 5, plants listed as endangered and threatened, as we know that number 5 is usually a challenging card, isn't it? So the plants are, there we go, 5 of water. 5 are plants that are endangered and threatened. Number 6 are abundantly productive plants, because we know that number 6 is all about abundance and synergy and all good stuff. And then number 7 are ancient trees. Number 8, root medicine plants. And number 9, fruit trees. And finally, number 10, we have cover crops and composting plants. So plants that we use to put on the floor for other things to grow, you know. Very interesting. I love this concept so much. And then we have people cards. Let's see if I can see some people cards here. There we go, people card. So we have people cards that instead of pages we have hijas, which are daughters. Instead of knights we have adelitas, which are warriors. Instead of queens we have madres, which are mothers. And instead of kings we have curanderas, which are the healers. So it's like a journey of one person that goes through all these different stages within her herb crafting journey, which is very cool. And I love how this book talks about the hands. So I'm gonna tell you what it says about the hands in the book. So it says, hands are first magical tool. They receive, they give. Your ancestors live in your hands. They are a symbol of initiation. They have the power to love, to create, to move, to change. Hands are associated with giving, receiving, serving. They teach us about reciprocity. They bridge the profane and sacred worlds. How beautiful is that? Hands are a big theme in this deck. And then also, if we look at what different, if we look at the suits, right, we have a suit of air, a suit of fire, a suit of water, and a suit of earth, instead of swords, wands, cups, and pentacles. And in each card, you'll see different things appear. So you can recognize, even if you cut off the borders, you would know, which is really smart actually, that they kept this constant, because if you want to make your cards borderless, right, you can cut this off and you will still know that this tool here, which is the tool that they use in the air suit, represents the air. And then in the fire suit, you will see mortars and pestles, as you can see here. In the water suit, you will see kettles and jars and cups and stuff like that. And then in the earth, you will see baskets, right? So you can see a basket in this one, for example, 3 of earth. So it's very, very smart how they've done this. And then also in each suit, you have the Herbcrafter is using different skills. So in air, you would have learning. In fire, you would have creating. In water, you will have nourishing. And in earth, you will have giving. So I love that so much. When the Herbcrafter goes through these suits, in air, she's observing plants as they are. They're very pointy, tall, sword-like plants in there as well, as you can see here. In fire, you can notice the alchemy of the Herbcrafting. There are busy scenes, things are being made and potions are being made and stuff. And then in the water suit, there are water-based medicines there, and you can see baths and teas. And then in earth, they used to create this deck, they used the plants that are used to make legacy tools, for example, baskets, fiber arts. So if you look at the guidebook real quick, we have table of contents, which is very, very useful. Acknowledgements, dedication, and then we have a beautiful introduction. I really encourage you, if you have the deck, to read this, because it's so beautifully written and you understand where the authors are coming from. Who is a Herbcrafter about this deck? We talked about this, the plants, the major, the minor arcana. And I would like to read you a part from this book because it's so beautifully written, and it's this part, cards and correspondences. The botanical world is rich with mythology and medicine that spans across countries, eras, and ideologies. Each plant contains a universe of possibilities for divination, healing, and story. As each card in a tarot deck represents a different yet equally important and complex archetype, so too do plants. A plant's placement on a particular Herbcrafter's card is not a fixed definition of its magic, nor an indicator of its level of importance. As you explore the symbolism of each card, consider the plants as medicine, but also consider the encounter as medicine. Notice how the plant shows up. Pay attention to how the plants behave in nature. Allow their expression to inspire you and reflect on the ways your behavior affects them. The message from the card might be found in the plant itself, but it might also be found in the relationship the plant has with the forest, the garden, or the creatures nearby. Our invitation to you is to look at the botanical realm from a new perspective and create your own vocabulary by actively reading the book of nature. We encourage you to allow your own experiences, mythologies, and magic to influence the stories you build from this deck. This contemplation will create an ecology of spirit that is unique to you, profound and powerful. Wow, how beautifully written. And look, they wrote this on spring equinox in 2018. Absolutely beautiful. So then we go into major arcana. So they explain what major arcana is about. And then we get in each card we get 1 page. It's not very long, but that's the thing about this book. It is one of my favorite guidebooks I have ever encountered. So you would have obviously the Fool. Like, I can show actually the card as well with this, since I have it just on hand. So you would have the Fool, the name of the plant, and then also the Latin name of the card. And then you will have 3 main messages from the card. The description of the scene, and then explanation what the card means. And then what I really love is they give you 3 points to craft with the Fool, to craft with this plant, or the energy of the card is so good. So let's just read this because it's just so good. I want to give you an example. So you would have Dandelion, follow your dream seeds, be audacious in your adventures, seek wisdom in weeds. A basket of dandelion flowers lies in the grass. Stone marks the cardinal directions, but the arrow-shaped leaves point to many possible paths, because we know the Fool can go any direction. Some plants spill from the wild crafting pouch that rests on the ground. A monarch butterfly sets off on its migration. How amazing is this? Like, you can feel this butterfly flying. It's like this is the energy of the Fool. He's going in one of the direction, in any. He has so many options. The world is full of adventure, open to what you have never known before. Like the dandelion seeds that float freely in all directions, trust the changing winds as you embark on a new journey. Trust. I love that, because that's one of the messages of the Fool, is that trust that the universe got your back, or the God got your back, or whatever you believe in has your back. The bright yellow flowers are bold and lively. Be as audacious and spirited in your explorations. Often thought of as a weed, dandelion is an inviting first medicine for a new herbalist. Keep your mind open. Be willing to experience life as a beginner. Be a pioneer. And I love because it's a weed as well, so it connects kind of to the first number. Even though it's a 0, it's like the start of the journey, you know, and it connects to aces. But I'm gonna talk about this more in my next video. And then we get crafting with the Fool. Harvest the dandelion seeds and wear it as an amulet when you set off on a new journey. So it's like very, like I said, very witchy and pagan-y. Make dandelion vinegar and sip it when you need to be bold and audacious. Practice finding wisdom in unlikely places. Create a mandala with weeds. Very playful, which is also the energy of the Fool, right? So it's just so brilliant. So anyways, so she goes through major arcana, and then after the major arcana we're going to minor arcana. They explain suits, then they explain numbers, what the numbers mean, and then they explain people, hijas, adelitas, madres, and curanderas, and what they mean. And then we go into minor arcana. So they always explain aces, and I love that they have like 3 keywords here. So aces are weeds, starting point, possibility. You know, it's, if you just want that small thing, you can just look at the points here and then in the first 3, and you can get like the main message from the cards, which is so, it's brilliant. It's just brilliant. So then they go through the whole, all 4 suits like this, so they would explain every number. It is done by numbers, so you would have all aces first, all 2s first, all 3s first, etc. So I love that, because to me it just makes more sense this way, because my brain is weird and I like order like that. And then at the end we have the people cards, and a part of this booklet that I really love is using the deck. So it explains how to use the deck, a card of the day, questions, build a story, connect with the herbs. So this is something that I really love here. How to connect with the herbs from the plant. So it gives you suggestions. So invite an encounter, learn the science, craft, honor the stories, reversals. Then we have some spreads. And then this is something that I find so cool. So the craft activities. So what are the crafting activities? Because crafting is a very big word that covers a lot of different areas. So it could be creating elixirs, flower essences, honey, incense, making kombucha, creating different oils, palm tent, pestos, creating scrubs, syrups, etc. Like, it just explains how to create many different things. And then we have about the creators and about the artwork. And another thing which I really appreciate is bibliography. So it tells you where they got their information as well. And you can see there's a lot of it here, and other resources as well. Let's just quickly look at the creators and about them, because I feel it is important, as we are having an introduction to this deck, to know something about the creators. So I know that Joanna Powell Colbert has created a different tarot deck before. It's called the Gaian Tarot. I don't have it personally because I don't know, it just at the moment doesn't call to me. So Joanna Powell Colbert has been an artist, teacher and convener of circles for over 30 years. She was named by Sage Woman magazine as one of the wisdom keepers of the goddess spirituality movement. Her first deck was the Gaian Tarot. Joanna teaches workshops and online courses on earth-centered spirituality, creativity and tarot, and hosts retreats several times a year. She created the artwork for the Herbcrafter tarot while living on a small magical island near Bellingham, Washington. And then we can visit her here online. And then we have Letitia Guthrie, I'm not sure how to pronounce her surname, Guthrie or Guthrie, is a folk herbalist and creator of Herb Camp, an herb-based rewilding nature camp for adults. She has taught folk herbalism in the Sonoran Desert and the Pacific Northwest. She is building an enchanted food forest and urban learning sanctuary with her family on a small property in Bellingham, Washington. Letitia homeschools her 2 daughters and shares her craft as a pathway on the journey of the soul with her local community. Nice. So I suppose Letitia brought all the knowledge about the herbs and everything, and then Joanna Powell Colbert brought the knowledge of tarot and her artwork. So beautifully done, like a very good collaboration. It feels, it is, because the deck is just brilliant. So this was the guidebook. Now I am going to stop right here, because I just wanted to be this video as an introduction to our Herbcrafter tarot. So thank you so much for joining me today in this introduction into the Herbcrafter tarot. I will see you again soon in our first episode about wands and aces in the deck. Until then, have a lovely day or evening or night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.